Welcome to dear students. Welcome to dear Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University UG Computer Applications semester 3 program with C and C++ Unit 5 Function chapter. In this video, I am going to explain about functions. Here, what is meant by functions? What is the need of a functions? What is the here? Why? What are the advantages of a functions? What are the syntax of a functions? How we can write simple programs using functions? These all kind of things I'm going to explain to you in detail. Don't skip this video. Here in this one, firstly, introduction point of view, I will tell you need of a functions. Why we are using the functions? What is the need of five functions? Yeah. Before we are going to learn about need of a functions, first we can learn about program. What do you mean by program? Why we are what do you mean by program means? Program is consists of set of instructions are there in a program. In this program, user to perform set of instructions are performing one task. Yeah, each and every task, different programs we can write. Each program we can write one here task. Why it perform one task. But in program, for example, here a small number of instructions are there. That means we can identify or we can writing the program very easily. Identifying the errors also very easy. Modification of errors also very easy. Here these all kind of things are there in small program means. For example, program is big. In this big means 1,000 lines of program is there, for example. Here we want to write, it is very difficult. We want to identify error, it is also very difficult. We want to modify the code, also difficult. Here this kind of things can be overcoming purpose, we are using the functions. Why we are using function? That is need. Why we are using the functions means, here using these functions we can divide it the here set of instructions into sub functions wise, subparts wise we can divide, and we can identify easily. We can understand the program very easily. We can execute the program very easily. We can here identify the errors very easily, modify the program very easily. Here, that's why we are using the functions. That is need of a functions. Why means modifying, identifying errors, writing, here reading, all are very easy. That's why we are using the functions. Next, what is the definition of a function? What the definition means? A function is a self-contained block of code that performs specific task. That is called as a definition. Self-contained block of code. Block means generally we know here in C language, especially block means opening braces to closing braces. That is called as a block. In opening braces to closing braces, set of instructions are there. In this set of instructions, performing a task is called as a here definition. That is called function definition. Once again, I will tell you what is the definition of function means. This set of instructions are there in one block. This block is performing the specific task. This is definition. Then we are going to learn about types. Here broadly categorized in functions are two types are there. Two categories are there. First category is called as a library functions. Second category is called as user defined functions. What do you mean by library functions? In library functions means predefined functions. Pre means already defined functions. Pre means defined. Just we can already define, just we can use these functions, we can do the our task. For example, here it is all Where we can get means in C library. How it is available? In the form of a header file. In C library, header files are there. In the header files having these functions, using this header file, we can access these functions. For example, we can take hash include stdio.h, stdio.h, standard input output. Generally, we know already in basics of C, input here that is scanf function, input that is reading the value, output that is printing the value. Here input means scanf function is there in C language, reading purpose, reading the values purpose, scanf is there. Here printf is there, that is printing the value purpose, printf function is there in C language. Here these all will available in a include stdio.h. Like this sqrt I mentioned in this slide, sqrt, that is square root, that is related to mathematical related. So mathematical functions also available in header file math.h. Here not next square root is there here, square root of a given number, that you can find out any number square root means using this function we can get. Then string length strlen is there, that is str means string, length means here length of that string. So what is meant by string? String means we know very well, string means group of characters. More than one characters is also called as one string. A length, for example, your name is example of string only. Suppose Kiran you can take, that is string. Number of characters, that is length. KIRN, 5 characters are there. So length is 5. Like this string length functions also available. These are string functions. How it is available means within header file. That is string.h header file. It is available in C language library. These all are called as predefined one. That is library functions. Simply library functions means predefined functions. Second category is called as user defined functions. What do you mean by user defined functions? User, what is the definition? First we can learn what is meant by user defined functions. First definition we are going to learn. User defined functions created by the programmer according to the program's requirements. According to our requirement we can create the program, we can write the program. That is program functions we can create, that is user defined functions. Simply I wrote here functions created by programmer according to program's requirement. As per our requirement we can create functions one, that is user defined. That's why user defined, as per requirement we can define. For example, I mentioned here three types of user defined functions. One is add, addition of two numbers, like factorial of given number we want to find out means we can use this function. Swap, here swapping means we know very well, interchanging of values by purpose we can use this function. So like this add, factorial, swap, these all are called user defined functions. Basically here what I'm telling to you, function types. How many types are there? Two types are there. One is library functions, another one is user defined functions. Then we are going to learn about advantages of functions. What are the advantages? Why we are using? What is the main advantage benefit of functions? Here so many benefits advantages are there. I mentioned five advantages I mentioned. One is called as a code reusability. Second one is called as modularity. Third one is called as easy debugging. Fourth one improves readability. Fifth one easy maintenance. First one code reusability. Code reusability. Re means we know very well. Reuse. Once again we can use. That is called reuse. Suppose we wrote some code in one program. The same code we can use in another program also. That is the best benefit. First benefit, that is called code reusability. What is the benefit of this one, code reusability? Once we wrote, that one you can use means no need to write again. That is time saving purpose. Functions are very useful. So that is called as code reusability. Second one is called modularity. Module, that means parts wise. I told you, thousands of lines of program is there. 200, 200, 200 lines wise we can divide. Here like sub function module 1 like module 2 like sub parts wise we can divide and we can write the whole program. That is modularity, division. And third one is easy debugging. Before we are going to easy debugging, bug means what? What do you mean by bug? We know very well. Bug means your error. Easy debugging. Errors we can identify very easily. I told you, 1,000 lines of code is there means identifying error is very difficult. It will take time. We can identify, but it will take time. It is very complex. But using functions we can identify the errors very easy. That is called easy debugging. And next one is improves readability. We can easily read the your functions and we can understand very easily. That is called improves readability. And next one is easy maintenance. Here maintenance means here without errors, here any kind of modifications, rewriting, and next one changes, here modifying. These all kind of things we can do very easily. We can understand easily, we can change the modifications very easily. We can here as per our requirement we can write easily. These all are easy maintenance. So these all are called as a advantages of functions. So how many are there? Yeah, five are there. One is code reusability, second one modularity, third one is easy debugging, and fourth one here improves readability, fifth one is easy maintenance. These all are called as advantages of functions. Now we are going to learn about syntax of a function. What is the syntax? Here syntax, return type. Here see here in syntax very easily we can remember. That's why I mentioned numbers also. Very easily we can identify, we can write, we can remember. Six parts are there in a syntax of a function. The first part is called as return type. Second part is called as a function name. Third part is called as parameter list. Fourth part is called as local variable declaration. Fifth part is called as function body. And sixth part is called as a return value. First part, what is that? Return value. Returning of value. That is depends upon type. So we know already data types are there. Here integer type, float type, character type, like so many types are there. As per our requirement, we can mention the type. By default type is integer type. Second category, function name. Function name is user defined. As per our requirement, as per our remembrance, we can give a name to a function. That is called function name. Third one is parameter list. That means values we are passing to the function. Parameters are arguments to a function. That is parameters list. And next one is local variable declarations. Variables we can declare, like see here opening curly braces to closing curly braces, that is called inside of a block. Inside of a block, the scope also local only, that is called local variable declarations. Then we can write statements, that is called function body. Then lastly we can that is sixth one, returning value. That is returning expression or returning of result, returning of some value. That is return value. So totally we have a six parts are there in a syntax of a function. One is return type, another one is function name, third one is parameter list, fourth one is local variable declaration, fifth one is statement, sixth one is returning value. So here example we can learn very easily with example. See here, in this example, return type is first one. What is return type in this example? Integer is there. I know already, we know already. What is that? Return type. Return. Return type. That means, return type means, here I told you, by default integer type. What do you mean by integer? Not having decimal part values. Example 1, 2, 3, 20, 30, 50 like this. These all are called as integer part, integer value, not having decimal part values. That is integer. Function name. What is the function name here in this example? Add. Add in the function name. Third one is parameter list. What are the parameters? Here integer A and integer B is the parameters values. For doing the sum of two numbers, I am taking the one value is A and the value is B. Next, a local variable declaration. What is the local variable here? In this local variable is here sum. Sum is the local variable. Next, here we can identify process. Here sum equal to A plus B. That is statement we are identifying the sum of two values. Then we can returning of values. That is called return of sum. So this is syntax and with example. Syntax and example. Very easy, no? Addition of the two numbers with using functions. I will write. I will show you program also. I will show you here example. Then here components of a functions. Here component like computer components. See here computer components means we can identify very easily, right? What does the computer component means? Computer parts. In part means we can identify mouse, keyboard, like here CPU, like motherboard, like these all are the RAM. Here, these all are the parts of computer. We know very well. Like in functions also having the components. Parts are there. How many parts? Mainly three parts. Here, three components are there here. One is called as a function declaration. That is called another name of a function declaration is prototype. Another one is function call. And third one is function definition. These all I will explain with example. What is the function declaration? What is the function call? What is the function definition? These all I will explain with the example program. So example program, see here, sample C program for adding two numbers using functions. Here, what is the, you see here in this one, what I said, three components are there. What is the first component? Function declaration. In declaration, here second line, see here second line in your program, second line int add, int comma int semicolon is there. This is called as a declaration. How many parts are there here? Three parts are there. What are the, how many parts are there? Three parts are there. First part is called return type. Second part is called function name. Third part is called as a parameters. So with the semicolon, this is called as a function declaration. Next one, second part, what I said, function call. See here, after passing the values, where we did function call is there. So in this program, adding two numbers. What are the two numbers? Num1, that is number 1. Num2, that is number 2. Result can be storing purpose. I am taking the another variable, that is sum. So these all are the values. So next, enter the first number. What is the first number here? Enter first number, number 1. Next number, number 2. Next to sum. Sum equal to here add of number 1 comma number 2 semicolon. This is called as a function call. We are calling the function. So that is the second part. Third part is, so what is the function call here? In this one, function call add of number 1 comma number 2. This is function call. Next, second, third one is here function definition is there. In definition, we can write here int add of int a comma int b, like defining. That is definitions. In this definition, we can write this one. So these all are function definitions. I told you, So these are the main three components of a function. In this one, how it is executed means first we have to give, we can enter the first value. That's why I wrote here enter first number. What is my first number here? 15. What is the second number? 25. Sum is 40. Like this, it is displayed sum of two numbers. It is very easy, using the functions. See here in this one, in this video, what we are learned. First, what is the need of a function? what is the definition of a function. Just we have to remember this: need of a function, definition of a function, next advantages of a functions, and next one is here syntax of a function, and next one is here uh, syntax of a function, and next one is here what we are learned, and next one after syntax example, and next one example program how we can write using functions. These all things we are learned in this video, and from second part I will continue the same chapter unit 5 only. I'll continue in a second part. Thank you. Thank you for your support.